we enter the Underworld.
Friends, Cersei's instructions were clear. No matter what we hear, full speed ahead until we find the prophet. My comrades, this land confuses your mind. So no matter who we find, full speed ahead until we find the prophet. Good. All I hear are screams. Every time I dare to close my eyes, I no longer dream. Only nightmares of those who died. Nothing's what it seems. Nothing's what it seems. And here in the underworld, the past seems close behind. This land confuses your mind. When does a man become a monster? 558 men who died under your command. Captain, 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 why would you let the Cyclops live when ruthlessness is mercy? All I hear are screams. Every time I dare to close my eyes, I no longer dream. Only nightmares of those who died. Nothing's what it seems. Nothing's what it seems. But in the underworld, the past seems close behind. I keep thinking of the infant from that night. I keep thinking of the infant from that night.
This life is amazing when you greet it with open arms. Whatever we face, we'll be fine if we're leading from the heart. No matter the place where we can light up the world, here's how to start. Greet the world with open arms. Greet the world with open arms.
Oh, jeez. That voice. It can't be. Mom?
Odysseus, when you come home, I'll be waiting. Even if you're the last thing I see, I'll be
I'm right here, Mom. Can't you see? I'm waiting. I took too long
always love you.
and ventured too
I'll
far
stay
while you were
waiting, waiting.
Bye, Mom.
Ooh.
All I hear are screams. All I hear are screams. Every time I dare to close my eyes, I no longer dream. I no longer dream. Only nightmares of those who died. Nothing's what it seems. Nothing's what it seems. But in the underworld, your past is always close behind. Your past is always close behind. Down in the underworld.
Wow. I'm only going to comment on this because they put in the subtitle box, they put translation by this person on TikTok. It's not a translation. You put the words and most of the words were wrong. No. All right. Now, I think this was really fascinating on a bunch of different levels. But the first thing I want to comment on, which I'm sure is just a coincidence, only because somebody said, who is that? you think this part of the mom was sung by Jorge's real mom. If that's true, that's what I'm about to say is probably a coincidence, but I'm going to say it anyway. I felt like the mom's voice being thicker and stronger, and Odysseus's voice being more kind of breathy was extremely symbolic. Listen to her voice as it carries. It's a very strong voice that fills that vocal track. And then when he's responding, it's very breathy. It's much softer. The same way that like you returning to core, like we're reminded that this Odysseus that we've traveled and done all of this with, which I'll also say, I know they're different animators, but this is the first time I remember seeing Odysseus with a beard and longer, shaggier hair. It might have been in the previous one, but we're starting to see the signs of time that he's been away for 12 years, right? So now we're reminded of the contrast to that at our core, we are children that have had experiences as we've aged into adults. But something about us in those childlike years and these formative years really do establish who we are as we continue our journey. So listen to the voices here. Let me go back to her part a little bit more.
Can't you see I'm waiting?
Hear it?
I took too long. I'll always love you. Adventure.
And something else I think is really smart about this is that Jorge's voice is very close to us. There's not a lot of reverb and presence on it because it's like we are sitting with him. But Mom is kind of everywhere. So there's a lot of reverb and atmospherics on her voice because we need her voice to encompass us. I also think that the way that they presented the Underworld with lots of parallels with what some would say would be like post-traumatic stress, right? So you're hearing the screams and the voices of people that you've lost. You're having these recollections of hard times and struggles. And I've had enough very deep philosophical conversations with a lot of people through my time. And I've always found it interesting when some people will present the notion, and not just like somebody, but multiple people, that, you know, like some people talk about like life and then your very stereotypical heaven and hell, or some type of afterlife in whatever that looks like, reincarnation, karma, even down to other variations of those interpretations, which is like we have consciousness and then we have subconsciousness. And then there's like different levels of what that subconscious means, right? So you have like, we're awake right now, and then you go to sleep, you're unconscious. But there's also the subconscious that lives between those levels. But are there other versions of that consciousness that we don't quite have an understanding of, which could be more twisted towards the afterlife as we try to understand it? Like, I think it's a hell of a deep thought, but I think it's interesting the way it's presented here when we have the the notion of the soldiers that he's lost, you know, the 558 men that are kind of clawing at the boat. These are the screams that keep him up at night. I think it's such an interesting twist on this, because some people might say, and I mean, in their own way, because I've heard people say this, it's like, my hell is having to live through reliving these prior times that I've endured every time I close my eyes. Like, that is my hell. So this introduction of the underworld feels very connected to that thought. All under the guise of, I think, just us trying to understand what it all is, you know, what the different levels of being a human or having an experience here on Earth or whatever it is. I think it's also so important that the number of men he lost is a specific number. Every one of those was an important number to him. That's a great point. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I feel like that's very accurate, because every one of those men was important, was valuable. Absolutely.